Let's talk about the one big beautiful bill, a piece of legislation so massive, its nickname sounds more like a game show prize than a fiscal policy. It's the kind of name you'd expect to see on a spinning wheel, not in the halls of Congress, but behind the catchy title lies a proposal that's anything but playful. This isn't a prize though, it's a multi-trillion-dollar, thousand-page behemoth aiming to reshape the American economy. We're talking about a document so dense, it could double as a doorstop for the Capitol itself. The bill's scale is mind-boggling. If you printed it, you could build a small, wobbly shed. Or maybe even a paper fort big enough for a filibuster sleepover. Even more shocking, it was introduced in the House on May 20th, 2025 and passed just 2 days later. That's legislative warp speed, faster than most people can get through their weekend reading list. 2 days! That's barely enough time to skim the title, let alone read the fine print. Imagine trying to digest 1,000 pages of legalese in the time it takes to binge-watch a couple of TV episodes. Congress took less time to approve this than most people spend picking a Netflix show. Decisions that could affect millions made in the blink of an eye. The Trump administration wants it signed by July 4th, celebrating independence with a bill that could redefine America's financial future. It's a patriotic deadline, but is it a prudent one? The House passed it by a single vote, 215 to 214. That's the kind of margin that makes you wonder if someone just missed the roll call or if a last-minute bathroom break changed history. This isn't careful governance, it's a frantic rush, like shoving a whale through a keyhole. The process looks more like a high-stakes game of beat the clock than thoughtful lawmaking. When something this big moves this fast, you have to ask, did anyone actually read it? What are we really signing up for? Are lawmakers making informed choices, or just hoping for the best? Because right now it feels like the country is being asked to sign a contract without reading the fine print, and we all know how that usually ends. Sometimes the biggest surprises are hidden in the details we never got to see. Why the rush? Why does it seem like lawmakers are in a frantic race against time, barely pausing to catch their breath? The answer is budget reconciliation. A procedural shortcut that lets a bill bypass the Senate filibuster and pass with just 51 votes instead of the usual 60. Normally, major bills need 60 votes, but reconciliation is the political equivalent of a cheat code, allowing the majority party to sidestep gridlock and move quickly. The Trump administration is using this maneuver to push its agenda through without needing any support from the opposition, maximizing their window of opportunity. Reconciliation is meant for budget-related bills, but this one sneaks in plenty of unrelated items, making it a catch-all for controversial policies. By packaging everything together, the administration hopes to pass it all in one go, avoiding piecemeal debates that could stall progress. The timing is strategic. A July 4th signing makes for great political theater, wrapping the bill in patriotic symbolism and national pride. Moving fast also limits public scrutiny and gives opponents little time to organize protest or even fully understand what's inside the bill. It's a move fast and break things approach, except what's at stake is the U.S. economy and the social safety net that millions rely on. This is a high-risk, high-reward gamble, a chance to cement a legacy, or risk a humiliating defeat that could haunt the administration for years. The urgency is a mix of procedural necessity, political optics, and a desire to outrun the consequences before opposition can catch up. It's a race against the clock, where the clock is also a ticking bomb, and every second lost increases the risk of failure. The administration is betting big, hoping speed will win the day, and momentum will carry them across the finish line. But the faster you go, the less time you have to see the obstacles ahead, and the greater the risk that something critical gets missed in the rush. Let's crack open this legislative Pandora's box and see what lawmakers have actually packed inside. This bill is more than just a stack of paper, it's a blueprint for the country's future, and every page is loaded with consequences. The one big beautiful bill is basically a conservative wish list. Permanent Trump-era tax cuts for individuals and corporations, plus new temporary tax breaks, like eliminating federal taxes on tips and overtime pay, set to expire after the next election. It's a windfall for high earners and big business, with a few short-term sweeteners for workers. There's a massive boost in military and border security spending, including funding for a mass deportation program capable of removing up to 1 million undocumented immigrants per year. The bill pours billions into new equipment, personnel, and border infrastructure. To pay for all this, the bill slashes federal healthcare programs, especially Medicaid, and cuts food assistance and green energy incentives. Programs that millions rely on are on the chopping block, with the biggest hits aimed at the most vulnerable. The philosophy here is clear: more money for tanks and walls, less for doctors and food. It's a dramatic reshuffling of national priorities. And of course, the bill raises the federal debt ceiling by $4 trillion, signaling a huge new wave of borrowing. This is one of the largest increases in history, with long-term consequences for the nation's finances. Raising the debt ceiling is necessary to avoid default, but this hike is enormous. It's a gamble on future growth and stability. It's a wild mix: tax cuts, spending hikes, deep cuts to social programs, and a mountain of new debt. The contradictions are staggering, and the trade-offs are real. It's a fiscal juggling act with no safety net, and the stakes couldn't be higher for ordinary Americans. The bill promises everything to everyone, except those who need help the most. For many, the safety net is being pulled away just when they need it. And the real cost? That's buried deep in the fine print, waiting for someone to read between the lines. How did the financial world react? In short, panic. The bond market took one look at the bill and started selling off U.S. Treasury bonds, driving up interest rates. Higher rates mean it's now more expensive for the government to borrow money. Bad news when you're already deep in debt. The U.S. is already spending nearly $881 billion a year just on interest, more than on veterans' benefits and transportation combined. Now that number is set to climb even higher. This raises fears of a debt-death spiral, where borrowing just to pay interest makes future borrowing even more expensive, threatening the whole system. Even Wall Street heavyweights like J.P. Morgan's Jamie Dimon are sounding the alarm, warning of a potential bond market crisis. The world's confidence in U.S. debt, the bedrock of global finance, is at risk. This isn't about politics, it's about risk. And right now, the people who manage trillions are looking at this bill and seeing danger ahead. The market's message is clear: this is reckless. If confidence cracks, the consequences could be global. The stakes have never been higher. Now let's talk about the accounting tricks. The White House claims this bill won't add to the deficit, a claim every independent analyst calls fantasy. Watchdogs estimate the bill will add $2.40 to $5 trillion to the national debt over the next decade. How? By using temporary tax cuts that expire in 2028, making the official cost look lower, though everyone expects Congress to extend them. The administration also claims permanent tax cuts will pay for themselves through growth, a theory that's never worked in practice. The math doesn't add up. The bill cuts $3.67 trillion in revenue, but only $1.25 trillion in spending. It's a fiscal fairy tale. Lower taxes, more spending, no downside. But the real story is a giant hole in the budget, hidden by creative accounting. Sooner or later the bill comes due. Enter Elon Musk, brought in to lead the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, with promises to slash trillions in waste. Musk's bold claims quickly shrank from $2 trillion in savings to just $150 billion, then a verified $16 billion. His biggest move, slashing IRS auditors, a cut that actually cost the government billions in lost revenue. Musk's experiment ended in failure, his own fortune plummeted, and he resigned, then turned on the bill he once championed. Now, Musk calls the bill a disgusting abomination that will balloon the deficit. The Doge saga is a cautionary tale. Silicon Valley disruption doesn't always work in Washington. The bill now faces its toughest test, the Senate. Thanks to reconciliation, it needs just 51 votes, but with a 53-47 Republican majority, only 3 GOP defections can kill it. Deficit hawks like Rand Paul oppose the bill's massive price tag, while others fear the political fallout from deep spending cuts. Senate leaders must balance these factions. One wrong move, and the whole thing collapses. The bill could be amended, sent back to the House, or fail outright. A disaster for the administration. All this is under a tight deadline. If the debt ceiling isn't raised, the U.S. could run out of money by August. The stakes? A government shutdown, or even a catastrophic default. The Senate's decision will shape America's financial future. It's political Jenga at its most dangerous. So, what does this have to do with crypto? Everything. The bill is a case study in the risks of government-controlled finance, massive spending, soaring deficits, and potential dollar debasement. For crypto fans, it's a giant ad for Bitcoin, a scarce, decentralized asset immune to political whims. As the US borrows and prints more, the dollar's value is threatened, making Bitcoin look more attractive as a digital gold. If this bill triggers a fiscal crisis, it could drive even more people toward crypto as a safe haven. The more the government spends and prints, the stronger the case for decentralized alternatives. This bill could unintentionally fuel the rise of a parallel financial system. The message: when trust in government finance erodes, crypto stands ready. The stakes for the dollar and for Bitcoin have never been higher. The future of money may be shaped by what happens next. So, who wins? Defense contractors, corporations, and the wealthy, those who benefit from tax cuts and military spending. Who loses? Millions relying on Medicaid and food assistance, future generations saddled with debt, and anyone holding US dollars. The bill gambles America's fiscal health for short-term political wins. Risks include a bond market crisis, soaring interest rates, a devalued dollar, or even a debt default. The Senate's vote will decide the nation's economic path for years. This bill is more than a budget, it's a statement of priorities. Tax cuts over social services, military over healthcare, now over the future. Whether you see it as bold reform or reckless vandalism depends on your perspective, but the consequences will be felt by everyone. As Congress prepares to write a multi-trillion-dollar check, the real question is, who will pay the tab? The answer may define America's future.